Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Learn with Nisha ji. We are studying class 9 mathematics and here we are on the chapter number 5, that is Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. Right? If you have not subscribed the channel yet, you can subscribe my channel Learn with Nisha ji. And if you want to join one-to-one sessions for online classes, you can just fill up this form. I'll share the link in the description section. Right? So let's begin with the chapter. So this is a basic introduction, like the word geometry. This comes from the Greek words geo, which means the earth, and metrin, which means to measure, right? So geometry appears to be have originated from the need for measuring land. तो initially हमें land measure करना था, तो इसलिए इसका development हुआ था, right? तो different forms में इस mathematics की branch को study किया in ancient civilizations like Egypt ने किया था, Babylonia, China, India, Greece, Incas, everywhere it was being studied. So people in these civilizations they faced many practical problems, ठीक है, जिसकी वजह से ज्योमेट्री का डेवलपमेंट किया गया. जैसे अभी एक एग्जांपल देखते हैं. whenever river नाइल रिवर है जो वो ओवरफ्लो होती थी, ठीक है, तो इट वाइप्ड आउट द बाउंड्रीज बिटवीन द एडजॉइनिंग फील्ड्स ऑफ डिफरेंट लैंड ओनर्स, ठीक है. तो आफ्टर फ्लडिंग इन बाउंड्रीज को फिर से रीड्रॉ करना होता था, ठीक है. इसकी वजह से इजिप्शियंस ने काफी सारी ज्योमेट्रिक टेक्निक्स डेवलप करी, ठीक है, रूल्स डेवलप किए एरियाज निकालने के लिए और कंस्ट्रक्शंस करने के लिए, ठीक है. तो विद द हेल्प ऑफ दिस नॉलेज ऑफ ज्योमेट्री दे आल्सो used it for finding the volumes of granaries, for constructing canals and pyramids and all, right? And they knew the correct formula to find the volume of a truncated pyramid. ये होता है truncated pyramid, ठीक है. इसकी वॉल्यूम निकालने का भी फॉर्मूला वो डेवलप कर चुके थे. तो बेसिकली पिरामिड क्या होता है, एक सॉलिड फिगर होता है जिसका बेस एक ट्रायंगल स्क्वायर होता है या कोई पॉलीगन होता है और साइड्स आर ट्रायंगल्स व्हिच कन्वर्ज टू अ टॉप पॉइंट. तो यहाँ कहीं ये कन्वर्ज करता है, उसको अगर हमने कट कर दिया तो इसे ट्रंकेटेड पिरामिड बोल दिया, राइट. तो इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट में जो एक्सकेवेशंस हैं हड़प्पा एंड मोहनजोदारो के, वो भी हमें शो करते हैं कि इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन व्हिच वाज अराउंड 3000 BC, इट मेड एक्सटेंसिव यूज ऑफ ज्योमेट्री, ठीक है. वो काफी हाईली ऑर्गेनाइज्ड सोसाइटीज थी, राइट. सिटीज बहुत अच्छे से डेवलप थे, बहुत अच्छे से प्लानिंग थी, रोड्स पैरेलल थे एक दूसरे के, ठीक है, अंडरग्राउंड ड्रेनेज सिस्टम भी था, and houses they had many rooms of various types, ठीक है. तो this shows कि जो टाउन dwellers थे वो काफी skilled थे अरिथमेटिक और मेंसुरेशन की टेक्निक्स के अंदर. और जो ब्रिक्स यूज की थी कंस्ट्रक्शन में वो किन फायर्ड होती थी, और जो लेंथ ब्रेड्थ और थिकनेस का रेशियो था वो 4:2:1 फाइंड आउट किया गया है, ठीक है. तो काफी डेवलपमेंट थी उस एरा में भी. In ancient India, the Salva Sutras, ठीक है, from 800 BC to 500 BC, they were the manuals of geometrical constructions, ठीक है. तो geometry of the Vedic period, it originated with the construction of altars or Vedis and fireplaces for performing Vedic rites, ठीक है. बहुत अच्छे fireplaces बनाते थे. And लोकेशन ऑफ सेक्रेड फायर्स, इट वाज एज पर द इंस्ट्रक्शंस. उसकी जो शेप है, क्या शेप होनी चाहिए, क्या एरिया होना चाहिए, इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स यूज करके वो बहुत अच्छे से मेजर करते थे, ठीक है. स्क्वायर एंड सर्कुलर ऑल्टर्स वर यूज्ड फॉर हाउसहोल्ड रिचुअल्स, ठीक है, एंड ऑल्टर्स हुज शेप्स वर कॉम्बिनेशंस ऑफ रेक्टेंगल्स, ट्रायंगल्स, ट्रेपेजियम्स, दे वर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर पब्लिक वर्शिप, ठीक है. एक श्री यंत्र होता था which is given in अथर्ववेदा. It contains like 9 interwoven isosceles triangles. तो ये triangles इस तरह अरेंज होते हैं कि ये एक्चुअल में 43 सब्सिडियरी ट्रायंगल्स प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, राइट. तो एक्यूरेट ज्योमेट्रिक मेथड्स यूज करते थे वो फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ऑल्टर्स, ठीक है, बट प्रिंसिपल्स बिहाइंड देम दे वर नॉट डिस्कस्ड येट, राइट. सो इस तरह धीरे धीरे ज्योमेट्री की डेवलपमेंट हुई इन हिस्ट्री, right? Now see, these examples show that geometry was being developed and applied everywhere in the world, ठीक है. But ये कोई systematic way में नहीं हो रहा था, ये unsystematic way में हो रहा था, ठीक है. But something is interesting about these developments of geometry in the ancient world, that they were passed from one generation to next. या तो orally बता देते थे वो, ठीक है, या फिर through leaf messages, palm leaf पे messages के form में लिख देते थे, या different other ways. और हम अगर अलग civilizations जैसे बेबीलोनिया इनमें देखते हैं कि geometry remained a practically oriented discipline, ठीक है, like in India and Rome, right? So the geometry developed by Egyptians, it mainly consisted of statements of results, ठीक है, कोई ऐसे general rules of procedure नहीं थे. But Babylonians and Egyptians, they used geometry mostly for practical purpose and did very little to develop it as a systematic science, ठीक है. पर कुछ civilizations थी जैसे ग्रीस है, ठीक है, more emphasis was given on the reasoning behind why certain constructions work, right? And the Greeks were interested in establishing the truth of statements they discovered using deductive reasoning. So we have a Greek mathematician, Thales. So he gave the first known proof. Okay, proof was of the statement that a circle is bisected, cut into two equal parts by its diameter. Okay. तो वन ऑफ थेल्स मोस्ट फेमस pupils was Pythagoras. आपने नाम सुना होगा, ये 572 BC में थे. So he and his group discovered many geometric properties and they developed theory of geometry to a very great extent. ठीक है, ये प्रोसेस चलता रहा 300 BC तक. ठीक है, उस टाइम पे एक टीचर ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स आए, यूक्लिड. He was a teacher at Alexandria in Egypt, right? So he collected all the known and work and arranged it in his famous treatise, right? And we call it elements, right? So elements को further 13 chapters में divide किया था, हर chapter को. Okay, so it was called a book. Each was called a book, right? So this books, these all the books influenced the whole world's understanding of geometry for future generations, right? तो इस चैप्टर में हम यही डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. वी आर डिस्कसिंग यूक्लिड्स अप्रोच टू ज्योमेट्री, ठीक है, एंड वी विल ट्राई टू लिंक इट विद द प्रेजेंट डे ज्योमेट्री, करेक्ट. So let's see Euclid's definitions, axioms and postulates. So Greek mathematicians of Euclid's time, they thought of geometry as an abstract model of the world in which they lived, right? तो जो ideas थे like of point, line, plane or surface and so on, these were derived from what was seen around them, objects को देखकर, right? So from studies of the space and solids in the space around them, an abstract geometrical notion of an solid object, it was developed. ठीक है, तो क्या बोला उन्होंने, a solid has shape, size, position, it can be moved from one place to another. ठीक है, उसकी boundaries को हम surfaces कहते हैं. They separate one part of the space from another. ठीक है, they are said to have no thickness. ठीक है, boundaries of surfaces are curves or straight lines, right? Or these lines end in points. So all these things were defined actually. So consider the three steps from solids to points. ठीक है, क्या steps हो जाएंगे? Solids, then surfaces, then lines, then points. Okay. So हर step में हम एक extension को lose करते हैं, also called a dimension. ठीक है. Solid has 3 dimensions. ठीक है. Surface की 2 होंगी. जैसे सॉलिड आप देखो, एक क्यूब है सपोज, तो क्यूब के क्यूबॉइड है, लेंथ ब्रेड्थ हाइट. ठीक है, सरफेस है जैसे एक रेक्टेंगल, तो लेंथ और ब्रेड्थ 2 डायमेंशंस होती है. लाइन हैज 1 डायमेंशन, लेंथ होती है उसकी. पॉइंट हैज नन. ठीक है, सो यूक्लिड समराइज these statements as definitions. ठीक है, he began his exposition by listing 23 definitions in book 1 of the elements. So few of them are given here. ठीक है, हमें 7 points given है यहाँ. A point is that which has no part. Line is breadthless length. ठीक है, ends of a line are points. A straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself. A surface is that which has length and breadth only. Edges of a surface are lines. A plane surface is a surface which lies evenly with the straight lines on itself, right? So if you carefully see all these definitions, you find that some of the terms like part, breadth, length, evenly, they need to be further explained clearly. ठीक है, जिसको नहीं पता वो उसे डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा what is it. Like consider his definition of a point. तो पॉइंट में क्या बोला है, अ पार्ट, ठीक है. सो इट नीड्स टू बी डिफाइंड कि पार्ट क्या होता है. सपोज इफ यू डिफाइन अ पार्ट टू बी दैट विच ऑक्यूपाइज एरिया, अगेन एरिया नीड्स टू बी डिफाइंड. So to define one thing, you need to define many other things, and you may get a long chain of definitions without in it. For such reasons, mathematicians agree to leave some geometric terms undefined. Okay. However, we do have a intuitive feeling for the geometric concept of a point than what the definition above gives us. So, okay. So we represent a point as a dot, even though a dot has some dimension. Okay. Similar problem arises with definition 2 अगर हम देखते हैं. It refers to breadth and length, जो दोनों define नहीं की गई. ठीक है. So some terms are kept undefined while developing any course of study. Okay, so in geometry we take a point, a line, a plane, ठीक है, in Euclid's words, a plane surface, okay, as undefined terms. The only thing is that we can express and like we can represent them intuitively or explain them with the help of physical models, right? So starting with his definition, Euclid assumed certain properties which were not to be proved. These assumptions are actually obvious universal truths. Okay, he divided them into two, axioms and postulates. Okay, he used the term postulate for the assumptions that were specific to geometry, and common notions, often called axioms, on the other hand, were assumptions which are used throughout mathematics and not specifically linked to geometry. Okay, so some Euclid axioms are given here. Order में नहीं है, but yes, they are there. First is like things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal, right? If equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. The whole is greater than the part, okay? Things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. Things which are halves of the same things are equal to one another, right? So these common notions, they refer to magnitudes of some kind, okay? First common notion could be applied to plane figures, okay? Like area of a triangle equals area of rectangle. Area of rectangle equals that of square. So triangle or square का भी area equal हो जाएगा, something like that. And like magnitudes of the same kind can be compared and added, but magnitudes of different kinds cannot be compared. ठीक है, जैसे लाइन को आप रेक्टेंगल से कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते, एंगल को आप पेंटागन से कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है. Fourth axiom, it seems to say that if two things, ठीक है, they are identical, that is they are the same, then they are equal. Like everything equals itself. It is justification of the principle of superposition. ठीक है. Axiom 5 है जो, it gives a definition of greater than, कि if B, a quantity B is a part of another quantity A, then A can be written as the sum of B and some third quantity C. तो A greater than B ही होगा. ठीक है. It means C is there, like A equal to B plus C हो जाए, right? Now let us see Euclid's 5 postulates. ठीक है. First postulate है, a straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point, right? So this postulate tells that at least one straight line passes through two distinct points, but it does not say that there cannot be more than one such line. ठीक है. However, in his work, Euclid has frequently assumed without mentioning that there is a unique line joining two distinct points, right? We state this result in the form of axiom as axiom 5.1 is given two distinct points. There is a unique line that passes through them. Okay? So if we see this, how many lines passing through P also pass through Q? अगर आप P के through passing बहुत सारी lines बनाते हो, तो Q से भी जो pass हो, ऐसी only one line is there. That is line PQ. And how many lines passing through Q can also pass through P? Only one. That is PQ only. So statement self-evident हो गई, so it is taken as an axiom, right? Second postulate is a terminated line can be produced indefinitely. Yes, ठीक है. Note that when we call what we call a line segment nowadays is what Euclid called a terminated line. ठीक है. According to the present day term, second postulate says that a line segment can be extended on either side to form a line like this, right? Postulate 3 है, a circle can be drawn with any center and any radius, right? All right angles are equal to one another, सब 90 degree के ही होते हैं. Fifth is if a straight line falling on two straight lines makes the interior angles on the same side of it taken together less than two right angles, then the two straight lines, if produced indefinitely, meet on that side on which the sum of the angles is less than two right angles. So these are the postulates. So let's take an example. जैसे line है suppose PQ, ठीक है? Figure 5.6 में है ये. It falls on the lines AB and CD such that sum of interior angles, ये angles बन गए ना 1 and 2. इनका जो sum है ये 180 से कम है, ठीक है? तो AB और CD जो है they will eventually intersect on left side of PQ. ठीक है, जिस साइड पे हमारा 180 डिग्री से कम है इन एंगल्स का सम, उस साइड पे ये इंटरसेक्ट होंगे. ठीक है, तो आप देख सकते हो 5 पॉस्टुलेट्स में से फर्स्ट 4 तो सिंपल थे, बट पॉस्टुलेट 5 थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स है. ठीक है, एंड जो 1 to 4 है उन्हें हम सेल्फ एविडेंट ट्रुथ्स की तरह ट्रीट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, बहुत सिंपल है वो. However, it's not possible to prove them. ठीक है, and these statements are accepted without any proof. And because of complexity, जो फिफ्थ postulate है नेक्स्ट सेक्शन में हम उसको थोड़ा सा ज्यादा अटेंशन देंगे, right? Nowadays, see, postulates and axioms are terms that are used interchangeably and in the same sense. Okay, postulate वैसे actually एक verb है. ठीक है, when we say let us postulate, we mean like let us make some statement based on the observed phenomena in the universe. ठीक है, it is truth or validity. Its truth or validity is checked afterwards. ठीक है, and if it is true, then it is accepted as a postulate, right? A system of axioms is called consistent if it is impossible to deduce from these axioms a statement that contradicts any axiom or previously proved statement. ठीक है, so when any system of axioms is given, it needs to be ensured that system is consistent, right? And after Euclid, he stated his postulates and axioms. He used them to prove other results also. ठीक है, then using these results, he proved some more results by applying deductive reasoning. So these statements that were proved are called propositions or theorems. And Euclid deduced 465 propositions in a logical chain using his axioms, postulates, definitions, and theorems proved earlier in the chain. Okay. In the next few chapters on geometry, हम इन्हीं axioms को use करेंगे to prove some theorems, right? अब हम कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स देखेंगे हाउ यूक्लिड यूज्ड हिज एक्सियम्स एंड postulates फॉर प्रूविंग सम ऑफ द रिजल्ट्स. जैसे एग्जाम्पल 1 देखते हैं. A, B, C are 3 points on a line and B lies between A and C. Then we have to prove that AB plus BC is equal to AC. Right? इस टाइप के हमारे क्वेश्चंस हैं. सो हम फिगर में देख सकते हैं कि AC कोइंसाइड कर रहा है AB प्लस BC के साथ. ठीक है, तो हम यूक्लिड्स एक्सियम 4 लगाएंगे. इट सेज थिंग्स व्हिच कोइंसाइड विद वन अनदर आर इक्वल टू वन अनदर, सो वी कैन कंक्लूड AB plus BC is AC, right? So it has been assumed that there is a unique line passing through 2 points, right? Example 2 में है prove that an equilateral triangle can be constructed on any given line segment. Okay, तो इस in the above statement like a line segment of any length is given like AB. ठीक है, हमने AB draw कर लिया. Here we need to do some construction. तो Euclid's postulate 3 use करेंगे हम. You can draw a circle with point A as the center and AB as the radius, right? Similarly, we draw another circle with this point V as the center and VA as the radius. इस तरह बनेगा, एक बार इस तरह बनेगा. So the two circles meet at a point C. Now C point के लिए हम AC और BC को join कर देंगे. So ABC triangle बन गया. This is equilateral क्योंकि AB is equal to BC is equal to CA. ठीक है, AB और AC equal होंगे. They are radii of the same circle. ठीक है, and AB is equal to BC. These are also radii of the same circle. From these two facts, Euclid's axiom that things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another, तीनों ही आपस में equal हो जाएंगे और ABC equilateral triangle हो जाएगा. ठीक है, so here Euclid has assumed without mentioning anywhere that two circles drawn with centers A and B will meet each other at a point. Okay, next we prove a theorem which is frequently used in different results, right? So here is theorem 5.1. Two distinct lines cannot have more than one point in common, right? So here we are given two lines L and M है, ठीक है? We have to prove that they have only one point in common. तो हम एक बार assume कर लेते हैं कि let these two lines intersect at two distinct points P and Q. Okay, so we have two lines passing through two distinct points P and Q. But this assumption clashes with the axiom that only one line can pass through two distinct points. So जो हमने assumption की थी starting में that two lines can pass through two points or distinct points is wrong. Okay, so what we can conclude that two distinct lines cannot have more than one point in common, right? So let's begin with exercise 5.1. Question number 1 says which of the following statements are true and which are false, and we have to give reason for it. The first one is only one line can pass through a single point. This is false. Okay, we can visualize this. Let's draw. So अगर आपके पास एक point है, let's say this is the point P, तो इस point से बहुत सारी lines pass on कर सकते हो. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक ही line pass होगी. So first part is going to be false, right? Second question is there are an infinite number of lines which pass through two distinct points. ये false है क्योंकि two distinct points से एक ही line pass कर सकती है. ठीक है. Third is a terminated line can be produced indefinitely on both the sides. हाँ, true है ये, दोनों sides पे आप produce कर सकते हो. Fourth is if two circles are equal, then their radii are equal. Yes, this is true. If we superimpose the region bounded by one circle on the other, they will coincide. So their centers and boundaries, they coincide, so radii will coincide, right? Fifth part is in this figure, AB equal to PQ है, PQ equal to XY है. हमें prove करना है AB equal to XY. True. First axiom of Euclid है ना, क्योंकि AB is equal to PQ and PQ is equal to XY. तो दोनों ही PQ के equal है ना, तो आपस में भी equal होंगे, right? So question 2 says give a definition for each of the following terms. ठीक है, इनकी definition हम देते हैं. Parallel lines क्या होती हैं? First is parallel lines are the lines in a plane that are always the same distance apart. They will never intersect each other. ठीक है? Perpendicular lines are the lines that intersect at a right angle, 90 degrees. Okay? Line segment is a piece or part of a line having two endpoints. Okay. Unlike a line segment has a definite length. Correct. Next we see radius of a circle. So it is the distance from the center point to any endpoint on the circle. Correct. Square. It is a quadrilateral in which all the four angles are right angles and all the four sides are equal. Correct. Then it is asked, are there other terms that need to be defined first? What are they and how might you define them? Yes. कुछ हमें आइडिया होना चाहिए कुछ टर्म्स का जैसे कि पॉइंट लाइन रे एंगल प्लेन सर्कल quadrilateral, right? Before defining these terms, correct? So next we have question number 3. It says consider two postulates given here. First is given any two distinct points A and B. There exists a third point C which is in between A and B. Okay. Second is there exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. Okay. Now do these postulates contain any undefined terms that we need to identify? Okay. So there are several undefined terms which the student should list. Okay. कौन से हैं? They are consistent. Okay, because they deal with, अब इसमें पूछा था ये postulates consistent है क्या? They are consistent because they deal with two different situations. ठीक है, say like that given 2 points A and B, there is a point C lying on the line in between them. Okay, second says that given A and B, you can take C not lying on the line through AB. ठीक है, these are two situations, correct? Then it is asked, do they follow from Euclid's postulates? Explain. So these postulates, they do not follow from Euclid's postulates, okay, but they, however, follow Axiom 5.1 that we can see, right? So here's the fourth question. If a point C lies between 2 points A and B, okay, such that AC is equal to BC, right? Then prove that AC is equal to half of AB, and we have to explain by drawing the figure, right? So if we draw the figure, we have 2 points, okay, A and B are the 2 points, a line is there in between them, okay. You have a point C here, you know that this AC length is equal to BC. We have to prove that this AC is equal to half AB, correct? So let us try to understand this. As AC equal to BC, we can add equals. Okay, equals are added to equals. We add AC on both the sides. We get 2AC is equal to BC plus AC is AB, right? And we get AC is equal to half AB. Hence the proof. So fifth question is, in question 4, point C is called the midpoint of the line segment AB. Okay, so we have to prove that every line segment has one and only one midpoint, right? So let's say we have this AB, right? How we will prove this? This is A and this is B. Okay, now we are saying C is the midpoint. Okay, now we have to make an assumption that apart from C, D is also a midpoint of AB, right? Now we can show that the points C and D are not two different points. C and D have to coincide, okay? Because C, we know AC is equal to CB because C is the midpoint, okay? This is known to us, correct? And if D is also midpoint, we can write AD is equal to DB as well, right? Because then these need to be equal if D is the midpoint, correct? And if we add the same thing, if we did in question number 4, okay, if we add AC to both these sides, okay, we can write down that AC will be equal to half of AB, correct? This will come as AC equal to half of AB as we got in question number 4. In a similar way, we can write down AD is equal to half of AB. Same thing we are going to get for AD as well because D is the midpoint, correct? So AD is equal to half of AB. अब इन दोनों इक्वेशंस में आप देख सकते हो RHS is same. So AC is also equal to half of AB, AD is also equal to half of AB. So both these need to be equal. So we can say AC is equal to AD. और अगर AC और AD equal होंगे तो C और D point को coincide करना पड़ेगा. They are not different points, correct? This way we can prove this. So here's the question number 6. It says in this figure, AC is equal to BD. Okay, we have to prove AB is equal to CD. Simple. AC equal to BD is given. AC is equal to AB plus BC we can write. Okay. BD is equal to BC plus CD we can write. Correct. Now we substitute 2 and 3, these two equations here. यहाँ हम substitute करेंगे तो BC और BC cancel हो जाएगा. Because subtracting equals from equals, we get AB equal to CD. यही हमें prove करना था, right? Question 7 says, why is axiom 5 in the list of Euclid's axioms considered a universal truth, right? So, since see, this is true for anything in any part of the world, okay? So, this is a universal truth. This is the reason, right? So here is the complete summary of the chapter. So though Euclid defined a point, a line and a plane, the definitions are not accepted by mathematicians. Okay. So these terms are now taken as undefined, right? Then axioms and postulates are the assumptions which are obvious universal truths. They are not proved. Okay. Theorems are statements which are proved using definitions, axioms, previously proved statements and deductive reasoning, right? Then some Euclid's axioms were like things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. If equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. The whole is greater than the part. Things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. Then things which are halves of the same things are equal to one another, right? And we have 4 Euclid's postulates also. So first postulate is a straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point. A terminated line can be produced indefinitely. Third is a circle can be drawn with any center and any radius. And fourth is all right angles are equal to one another, right? So this completes the chapter. Do subscribe the channel, Learn with Nisha ji, and stay tuned for more updates. Thanks for watching.